All right, we take a look at the local dailies in-depth now. We start off with the headlines on the Daily Nation. Unholy Alliance.
All right, the start today, it's D-Day for ODM. Oburu team plans to kick out Sifuna in Mombasa meet. Leo ndio ile siku amesema Sifuna iko nje, Sifuna iko nje, tutaona kama wata kick out Sifuna.
Business Daily, new M-Pesa trading app takes 55% of share orders.
Now the Standard has done something very interesting. It's both the back and front page.
Very beautiful.
So unaanzia kule nyuma, it's a very long page. Ruto splashes millions, Kenyans stare at death. That's the Standard. Matters the drought crisis, getting it to the front page. You remember when he had CS Ruku here, and he said, yes, many people are facing starvation, but the promise by this government is that no one is going to lose their life. But anyway, Kenyans are staring at death while this government spends billions.
All right, they have approved 4.1 billion Kenyan shillings to cushion that. People Daily, I am trying to find it here. It says, do you have it? Oh, beyond the outrage. Can opposition move past moments that generate temporary political heat and craft their own relatable grassroots narrative? That's the People Daily this morning.
What about Taifa Leo? Taifa Leo wanasema wanafunzi hewa walitafuna bilioni 5. And you know, you always see billions on the front page. There's a guy who does content around how much a billion is. Na anasema even if you were to spend a billion, and actually squander 1 million shillings every month, you'd need 83 years to spend 1 billion.
Wow.
Yes.
So imagine if every Kenyan had
now 5 billion, according to Taifa Leo, imeenda tu hivyo. Wanafunzi hewa.
Wow.
Na inakuliwa na watu wachache.
That is the education sector.
Education sector.
Last week we were talking about the health sector.
Yes.
11 billion shillings.
Oh, yes.
Let's cross over now. Our borders, regional dailies. Uganda, new vision. Ugandans stuck in Cambodia named. That's the new vision. The Daily Monitor this morning inaongelelea Magere's tale of thrill and fear. And if you go in depth into it, they say the heavy deployment of security personnel at the home of NUP party leader, that is Mr. Robert Chagulanyi Bobi Wine in Magere, Wakiso district, has caused tension with nightlife business owners complaining their trade has slumped because of restricted movement.
But I thought elections are over. Si mwache tu jamaa kwani atafanya nini ingine? There's no elections, he cannot be president. He's just going back to kawaida. Kama amekuwa kilea mbuzi, ataendelea tu kulea mbuzi. He cannot be president now until next election. Mbona hii heightened security? But remember, Tundu Lissu bado wako jela, Kizza Besigye bado wako jela.
That's the main story on the front page of the Daily Monitor this morning. The new vision, nikirudi tu nyuma tuangalie, they say COVID-19 diabetes cases on the rise in Uganda. So they link COVID-19 to diabetes cases. You know, I saw something on X, somebody say that if you took that vaccine, you're likely not to survive June.
Yeah, but do you believe
that? That is could be propaganda, could be true.
Wanaitwa anti-vaxxers. It's a real campaign, especially in the US, who are the people who are opposed to vaccines, but they've always been there. The people who believe vaccines are very negative to the human race. So they're the ones who feel that way. So you tutawasaidia namna gani?
All right, that's the main story on the front page of the New Vision. This, according to the World Health Organization, Uganda registered COVID-19 recoveries, that is 100,431. Let's cross over to Bongo now.
Tunaanza na gazeti la Mwananchi, wanaongezungumzia pande mbili siku 100 za Samia. It has been 100 days since election day in Tanzania. So pande mbili za siku 100 za Samia, utekelezaji ahadi za bima ya afya, hata walianza hivyo. Universal health coverage. Bima za afya kwa wote, kutozuia maiti, utoaji ajira, vijana na mchakato katiba mpya wachambuliwa kwa kina. So ni masuala tu ambayo wanaangazia. At least they're considering constitutional review. Ile story ati mtu ameaga dunia kwa hospitali lakini akona bill hawaachili mwili kuzikwa, hiyo pia wanachunguza. So those are just some of the things they're looking at. Na wamepeana mambo 10 pale kwenye ukurasa wa mbele wa gazeti la Mwananchi, vipaumbele siku 100. Habari nyingine siku na wanahesabu siku nyingi. Siku 731 bila ya Edward Lowassa. Edward Lowassa alikuwa pia ni jamaa mwanasiasa kule, lakini aliaga dunia ni kama miaka 3 hivi iliyopita. Habari nyingine hapa, mgogoro Geita msukuma mwekezaji kuna jambo. Pale juu wahitimu wapewa jukumu la jamii na kwingineko sababu pikipiki bajaji za umeme kuvunja sheria. Wale wamekataa kuregister pikipiki na bajaji.
Bajaji ni tuktuk.
Ni tuktuk.
Okay.
So bajaji zimejaa kila mahali. Hizo hata zikiibiwa you can't follow because it's not registered.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
The citizen still in Tanzania, Samia scorecard after first 100 days. She completes the first 100 days of her second term in office today, a milestone that has prompted mixed reactions from stakeholders across Tanzania. Now, 53,000 is the number of jobs that authorities in various sectors announced between November 2025 and January 2026, which can be characterized as an obvious attempt to turn policy promises into real results. How Samia's 2 terms differ, pia imeongelelewa hapa ndani. Tanzania navigates delicate diplomatic ties after polls chaos. They also make mention of hidden pediatric gaps driving child mortality in Tanzania. It's a story on page 3. How global EV standards can shape Tanzania. Judicial hurdle emerges in fight to prevent poll document disposal. That's another story on page 3. That's the Citizen, and that's Regional Dailies this morning. All
right, so sasa tukiangazia magazeti ya haumu nchini kwa kina. There are some stories that I'm seeing they're missing here. One of the stories is what's happening in Nairobi with the county government of Nairobi.
Yeah.
You remember what happened with the Sonko government when he ceded a lot of ground to the national government and health services were being controlled by the national government. Now we're made to understand that even Governor Sakaja has ceded quite some ground, especially on matters garbage collection, which I think is a positive thing. He's led that to the national government. So tuone kama national government watashindwa kuokota takataka Nairobi. Pili is about building, so affordable housing. Hiyo imeenda. Alafu now road construction in Nairobi. So shida za barabara, shida za takataka, shida za ujenzi wa manyumba, hiyo sasa tusiblame governor tena. Blame national government. So that's a big one.
It is.
It's not on any of the dailies, so we're hoping that probably by tomorrow we'll have a lot more so that we can clarify on that and get a lot more detail. The other story I'm seeing missing on the dailies is that there was a cabinet meeting yesterday.
Yes.
And they approved the budget, what they're going to present to the National Assembly as a budget for the next financial year, 2026-2027. 4.7 trillion shillings. Remember we had a 4.25 trillion shilling budget, the last budget.
Year.
So now it's 4.7 trillion shillings. Tumeongeza tu by another 300 and about 10 billion shillings.
We are a very ambitious country.
Kidogo kidogo tutakaribia Tanzania au inakuanga 63 billion. Trillion.
63 trillion in Kenya shillings is like 4.2 trillion.
Yao ni ndogo hata ijafika nini ijakaribia budget yetu. Yetu tukiconvert to Tanzanian or Ugandan money, tunafunga inchi tunaenda.
The Daily Nation this morning speaks about unholy alliance. It's a story about monkey business. Governors attack rent-seeking MPs who counter that the guilty are afraid of scrutiny. We made mention of this story yesterday morning. Senators wamesema if your record is dirty, tutakuanika, hatutakuficha hapa. A bribery scandal that has sparked a bitter feud between governors and senators exposes underhand dealings and a conspiracy to defeat accountability. Now, governors have vowed to name and shame corrupt senators who they claim extort bribes to go easy on audit queries. An extortion racket, they admit, has thrived for too long. But senators have dared county bosses to make good their threats to snub watchdog committees, questioning why governors will pay bribes if they had nothing to hide.
But
who will blink first?
I think going back to what the president said sometime last year, that these people are rent seeking, wanasema soko huru kule bungeni, na kuna ule jamaa wa kamiti anaitwa welfare chairman. Chairman welfare, kazi yake ni kuokota tu, kuokota. But you see now, once the president says something like that, even governors can come and say, yes, it's true. See, even the president said, and they use it as an excuse not to show up. That is on one hand. The other hand, there could be a lot of truth in this. And watu wanaitisha tu pesa governor. Because all these audit queries, what happens to all these things that the Senate unearths? Okay, kulikuwa na 3.8 ya Christmas tree. Kulikuwa na 5 million ya housewarming. Kuna 10 million ilienda kwa watu wa bodaboda instead ya kujenga market. Okay, so fine. Mumekuja mume-unveil na mume-unearth. Then what happens? What happens? We've not seen any governor taken to task or taken to court. Wanapiga kelele mbwembwe pale bungeni.
Na kuna evidence kwa karatasi.
Nancy Gathungu amefanya kazi, the Auditor General, lakini ni kama endelee. By the way, watu wanaozungumza huko nini, is it fair for the man to carry the Valentine spending burden?
Watu
wamekasirika
huko. Tutarudi kuangalia that one. Let's focus on this for a moment. Council of Governors wanasema, we narrowed down our issues to one committee, and certain members of that committee Senate standing orders require that if certain people are mentioned, they step aside from that committee. I've written to the Senate Speaker seeking an audience with the leadership of the Senate. Whatever evidence governors have, we are going to table something is going to change in that particular committee. They're speaking about, is it SPAC? The SPAK, that committee.
The other challenge there is that the Speaker responded. The Speaker for the Senate responded and said, fine, there's a challenge. I'm sure you would want to raise a few questions, but there's a challenge because the Constitution only allows the Senate to review the audit queries and be done with them by a certain period. And that period lapses next month in March. So they're time bound and they have to conduct all these queries and all these sessions before March. So mukisema mwendi sahi, you're causing a bigger problem.
Yes. There's another interesting story here about the drought. Gachagua takes on Ruto over drought ahead of tour. And President William Ruto is going to a 3-day tour in the northern Kenya. Former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has accused the government of delaying emergency response to drought ravaging northern Kenya, even as the cabinet approved release of 4.1 billion shillings to help the affected regions. An estimated 3.3 million people are facing acute food insecurity, with the cabinet cautioning the figure could rise to 3.6 million by June. Now, 23 counties so far weathering the biting drought. We'll be taking a look at the weather situation in those areas tuone kunakaa vipi. Rigathi Gachagua is saying 173 million will be distributed per county if this amount, 4.1 billion shillings, is of course dispersed to these affected counties. And he says that will be around 1,200 shillings per person, which is below the UN minimum food basket, which he says is around 2,700 shillings per person in these rural areas.
Okay.
So that is what, of course, the former Deputy President is contesting here. Once again, the President will be in Garissa today to launch Nyota. Atakuwa kule for 3 days. Okay,
fine. Serious questions, and I think that's where the DCP party leader is coming from. It's the same story on the Standard. Now we can move to the Standard.
Yes.
And it talks about how the president is spending money on one hand, yet millions of people are suffering, are facing severe starvation. So the Standard has done this front and back page. Yeah? Ruto splashes millions, as he's going to do with the Nyota Fund today. Meanwhile, the same region, people are starving and they're facing starvation. As millions across the country scrape leaves from trees and watch their livestock die, children abandon school to forage, mothers go without meals, and communities edge towards collapse. Power fists in Nairobi. So, and the irony of it is, why would the president go to that region for the Nyota campaign when there's an even bigger crisis?
Yeah.
There have been calls for this to be declared a national crisis.
Yes.
It's there, declare drought national emergency, so that the response can come from different areas. I don't know. Anyway, Kenyans stare at death as the president splashes millions. That's the Standard, and I like the fact that the Standard has given prominence to this story on both the front and the back page. Leo hakuna ati mipira ya wazungu nini.
Hata huko ndani.
There are more important stories. All right, I think we should look at this paper.
The Star.
The Star, because the politics is very interesting.
Yes. Oburu team plans to kick out Sifuna in Mombasa meet. They say there's a quiet push to replace him with Governor Otoma. I'll just leave this to you because there's a similar story on the front page of the Daily Nation. Are you
yes, so this story is on page 6, and this meeting is happening today. There have been a lot of calls, a lot of claims and a lot of demands, a lot of pronouncements na kujipiga kifua, leo tunatoa Sifuna. Siku imefika.
Yes.
There's a NEC meeting, National Executive Council meeting. The last time they met is when they appointed Oburu Oginga, party leader, immediately after the death of Raila Odinga. So this is probably the highest level of the party. Yeah, forget about the Central Management Committee, na zingine, hata wacha NDC. So this one can actually make a few decisions. But is it that easy to remove a Secretary General, Tunangoja. Najua sasa wameanikwa kwa ukurasa wa mbele ati mnaenda kutoa Sifuna leo. Wacha tuone kama wataweza.
Ama labda ilikuwa ikuwe siri.
Maybe ilikuwa ikuwe siri.
Alafu the Star waka unearth.
All right, so that's a big story there.
Just the same story before tuachane nayo kabisa. ODM crisis talks after Uhuru's Azimio move. That's another one.
Yes, they're also discussing Azimio.
Yes.
Because Azimio imekuwa shida sana. But then again, hata ODM, can you decide what you want?
Wako all over.
Wako Azimio, wako broad-based, wako...
Lakini we are not judging. If it works for you, fine.
No, we'll be having some of the Azimio members here, or Azimio adherents and supporters, or ODM party members in studio to tell us what exactly they want.
In Azimio, right? Yes. It says, with the deepening power struggle between, of course, factions led by party leader Oburu and Senate Secretary General Edwin Sifuna, ODM leaders convene in Mombasa to discuss contentious issues. NEC meeting comes amid reports that Dr. Oginga on Monday sought to stem an implosion following a largely successful rally in Busia by the rival camp. Now, the meeting will also discuss the political coup in Azimio coalition staged by former President Kenyatta. Why are they calling it a political coup? Is it a political coup?
ODM, they're not used to someone upstaging them.
Yes.
Yes, because with Raila Odinga at the helm, they were always a step ahead. Politically, at least. Politically speaking, ODM was always a step ahead. Now they're finding themselves, they're reacting to one, President Ruto. Now, secondly, to Rigathi Gachagua, they're also responding to who? Uhuru Kenyatta.
Yes.
They're always responding to Sifuna, responding to everyone, reacting. Kuna shida pale.
Wanaongea sana.
So because I can see time has really moved, and probably it's the same conversation. It's the same conversation on the cartoons. So you could quickly go through the cartoons. The cartoon on the People Daily. Kuna machungu yamelipuka hapo katika